Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're the place you come to when you've got a mountain of information and you need, well, just those crucial nuggets to really get it. Today, we're diving into something loads of us use every single day, YouTube. Specifically, their monetization policies. Kind of a maze, right? Maybe you upload videos, maybe you just watch them, maybe you're even dreaming of being a creator yourself. But how does YouTube actually decide who gets paid for ads and on what kind of content? It's, let's be honest, it's often a pretty opaque system. So our mission today, pull back that curtain. We've been digging through YouTube's own help docs, their official guidelines, and even this really fascinating scientific paper trying to understand their black box algorithm. And yeah, we've got some surprising things to share.
It's really quite something when you look at how multi-layered these guidelines actually are. I mean, they hit everything from a creator's basic income to, what content even gets pushed on the platform. It's not just about the obvious stuff, the things explicitly banned. It's really about these subtle nuances. Context, intent. That's where it gets tricky.
Okay, yeah, let's unpack that. So the core idea is advertiser-friendly content. Makes total sense, right? Brands don't want their ads showing up next to just anything. But what people might miss is that this applies to, like, all the bits of your content. The video itself, sure, but also shorts, live streams, even the thumbnail image, the title, descriptions, tags.
Everything. And that really just underscores YouTube's dual role, doesn't it? It's this huge space for expression, but it's also fundamentally a business that runs on ad money, which creates this constant tension creators are always juggling.
Definitely. And they have this big list about a dozen main topics they say are generally not advertiser friendly. We're talking inappropriate language, violence, adult content, shocking stuff, harmful acts, hateful content, drugs, firearms, gosh, controversial issues, sensitive events.
Enabling dishonest behavior, stuff not okay for kids, incendiary content, tobacco.
Yeah,
It's a lot to keep straight.
it really is. So with all these categories, what's the main thing creators need to grasp? You mentioned context.
Absolutely. Context is paramount. That's the biggest takeaway. For example, think about violence. An educational documentary about, say, historical violence might be totally fine for ads.
Yeah.
But just gratuitous violence, purely for shock value, that's a definite no-go for monetization.
Okay, so the why matters as much as the what. Let's dig into specifics. What about, say, inappropriate language? How nuanced does that get?
Oh, very. You might think any swearing is out, but it's not that simple. Like occasional hell or damn, probably fine. Even moderate stuff, shit, bitch, used often, might still be okay for full monetization. And this is key, strong profanity, like the F word, especially in the first, 7 seconds, or big in the title or thumbnail. That can severely limit ads or kill them completely. And obviously, any kind of extreme hateful slurs, instant demonetization, no question.
Wow. Okay, so it's not just what word, but when and where in the video or metadata. That's incredibly specific.
What about violence then? How does context play out there? It's huge there too. So like a news report covering a bombing, or maybe unedited video game violence, but after the first 15 seconds or so, or like we said, educational content on war, that could potentially get ads. But if the main point of your video is just focusing on blood, gore, injury, with no real context, or really graphic game violence right at the start, those first 7 seconds again, yeah, you're looking at no ad revenue for that. It's about the intent. Is it informative or just sensational?
Right, that educational versus exploitative line, it makes sense. But, okay, shifting gears to another tricky one. Adult content. That must be a minefield.
It really is. And again, YouTube tries to walk a very fine line. Not all nudity or sexual themes mean automatic demonetization. Things like breastfeeding, where the child is present, that's generally okay. Non-graphic sex ed, fine. Even professional, like choreographed dancing, that might be suggestive. Often okay. But what's not okay is stuff that's highly sexualized or exposed sexual body parts, even if they're pixelated, but you can still tell what it is, or getting into really detailed discussions of, intimate acts, fetishes, things like masturbation. And here's a big one people get wrong. Trying to be funny about it doesn't make it okay. The source explicitly says comedic intent doesn't excuse highly sexualized content.
Huh. That's super important because, yeah, if you see creators trying that humor angle all the time. Okay, so if these are the rules for the content itself, who's actually making these calls? Is it just algorithms or are there people involved?
Well, it's both. And this is where it gets really interesting, actually. YouTube themselves say, look, our automated systems, they don't always get it right, which is why you can request a human review if you think the machine made a mistake. And they're apparently improving this. There was an update mentioned March 10th, 2025, talking about more human reviews, though it might take up to 24 hours.
Okay, so there's a human backstop. That's good to know. But the first pass is automated. That's where the black box idea comes in from that research paper we read.
Exactly. The paper literally calls YouTube's moderation algorithm a black box because, well, it is. It's proprietary. How it works internally isn't public knowledge. We don't get to see the code. And what's fascinating is the researchers in that paper used machine learning things like random forest models to try and predict demonetization based on metadata changes. And they got it right up to 87% of the time, which just signals how incredibly complex and data-driven those initial automated decisions really are. It's way beyond simple keyword flags.
That's, yeah, that's pretty intense. So it's not just about one video in isolation, right? YouTube also looks at your whole channel.
Oh, absolutely. That's crucial. They have these broader channel monetization policies. The big theme there is your content needs to be original and authentic.
Which sounds simple, but gets complicated fast, especially for channels that use existing stuff, right? Like reaction channels or compilations.
Precisely. This isn't just about basic copyright, so that's part of it. It's about whether you, the creator, are adding meaningful value. Take their repetitious content policy. They don't want channels where all the videos are basically the same, like using the same template with tiny changes. Viewers can't tell the difference. But if your channel has a similar format, maybe the same intro-outro style, but the main content is different and original each time, that's usually fine. What's not fine is just like reading text off a website verbatim or taking songs and only changing the pitch or speed slightly without adding anything substantial.
Okay, so it's about the effort and the uniqueness you bring even within a formula. And that ties into the reuse content policy too, I guess.
Directly. Reuse content is about taking stuff someone else made and using it without adding significant original commentary or really modifying it substantially or adding clear educational or entertainment value yourself.
Yeah.
So using movie clips for a critical review where you're analyzing them, probably okay. Rewriting the dialogue for a scene to make a parody, adding your own commentary over sports highlights, generally fine. But just grabbing a bunch of TikToks or short videos from social media and sticking them together with minimal changes, or just acting as a promoter for other people's stuff, even if you have permission, that's usually not going to fly for monetization.
So they really want you to transform it, make it your own.
Exactly. They'll look at everything, your channel's main theme, your most popular videos, your newest ones, the ones with the highest watch time, your metadata, even your about section. It's a whole channel checkup to see if you're genuinely adding value or just recycling.
It really sounds like they're pushing creators to be, well, creative. And then there are even more rules if you make content specifically for kids, right?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. There are extra quality principles there. Things like being heavily promotional or encouraging negative or unsafe behaviors, big no-nos, or content that pretends to be educational but isn't like, says it'll teach colors but shows them wrong. That could get you limited ads, no ads, or even kicked out of the YouTube partner program entirely. They're pretty strict about protecting kids.
Man, okay. So it's clear getting monetized isn't just about view count. It's way more complex. Some creators call demonetization the adpocalypse, which sounds dramatic, but what's the actual impact beyond just losing the ad money? Why is it such a big deal?
Well, that's the kicker, isn't it? Losing the ad revenue hurts, obviously. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, it's often more than just the money. A video that gets demonetized, limited ads or no ads, is also way less likely to be recommended by YouTube's algorithms. It won't get surfaced as much. So it's basically a form of, you could call it censorship by proxy. Your discoverability just plummets. Yeah. And for a creator trying to grow or maintain an audience, that's huge. It could be worse than just not getting paid for that one video.
Wow. That's a massive consequence, affecting visibility like that. And YouTube also talks about creator responsibility and integrity, right? What does that cover?
It covers behavior both on and off the platform, being respectful in the community, and a big one. You absolutely cannot artificially inflate your numbers. No buying views, subscribers, likes, watch time, none of that. And if you do get removed from the partner program, you can't just spin up a new channel and try to sneak back in. They're wise to that. They want a level playing field, essentially.
Keeps things fair, or tries to. So, okay, what happens if you do break these rules? What are the actual consequences?
They can be pretty serious. YouTube can withhold your earnings. They can adjust them. They can even demand money back, a chargeback. They can hold payments for up to 90 days while they investigate. They can obviously limit or turn off ads on specific videos. They can suspend you from the entire YouTube partner program. Or, in what they call exceptional circumstances, basically, if it's really bad, they terminate your whole channel, gone. That usually happens if they think it's necessary to protect the platform's integrity or keep users safe from harm.
Okay, yeah, those are definitely powerful incentives to play by the rules, especially now with maybe more human reviews, even if it means waiting up to 24 hours sometimes for a decision. It really hammers home that YouTube holds the keys to the kingdom, so to speak.
Right. So hopefully you listening now have a much clearer picture of just how intricate these rules are for getting paid on YouTube. From the exact words you use and where you use them, to the context around violence, to how you edit and transform existing content, every little detail feeds into whether YouTube systems and potentially humans deem your video advertiser friendly. It's a real tightrope walk.
And understanding this stuff isn't just for people making videos. It helps all of us as viewers make sense of this huge digital content world. Why do some videos have ads and others don't? Why does some content seem to just vanish from your recommendations? These policies are shaping that experience. Absolutely. And here's maybe the most interesting thing to chew on. These guidelines, they're not static. They evolve constantly. So thinking about that constant change and that push and pull between the automated systems and the human reviewers, what's the advertiser-friendly landscape going to look like in, say, another year or two? And how is that going to subtly nudge and shape the kind of stuff we all end up watching every day? Something to think about. Anyway, that's all for this deep dive. We hope you feel a bit more clued in, maybe a little less confused by it all, and hopefully you'll spot those nuances next time you're scrolling. Until next time, keep learning.